Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. In case you didn't know, that's Radha Mitchell on the screen. I've only ever seen her in Pitch Black and the first of the Fallen trilogy. Would I go with her? Nope. She's an Australian and had enough of Australian girls and women after the 11 years I was there. And look at that face. I've seen that kind of face before. Another dismissive look like Numi's last week and Rebecca Ferguson's a few weeks ago. She's rather there. She's about 5'6", so barefoot. She's probably just about as high as me. I measured myself the other day, and apparently I'm only about 5'5.5" now, because I'm getting old and I've shrunk a bit. If I am 5'6", same height as her, I would be just about 5'6". But she's been married twice. She's her second husband, from the photographs I've seen of him, he's 6 foot odd, and naturally she prefers guys which are taller than her, like 99.9% of the women, and I wouldn't really go with her because she's got some baggage, plus she's already a mother now with her new husband, so that's double baggage. So even if I was ultra wealthy, I wouldn't go with her. Anyway, enough about the Radha. As you know, women are rejecting guys because they don't meet their standards, and they complain on TikTok because guys don't meet their standards, guys are not going with them. But women have found an alternative to real men on AI. So looking around over the weekend, I found this. This, as you can see, is Boston University. And can I fall in love with AI? It's an AI boyfriend in an app. I was frustrated with traditional dating apps, so I created my own AI companion. In other words, she put her wish list down on the computer program, and hey presto, a two-dimensional AI man appeared on the screen, and he ticks all her boxes, so he's her new boyfriend. As you can see, this was done on 16th of April 2024. It says, dating in my 20s feels like playing the game on hard mode. Meeting new people has become increasingly difficult, and the chances of forming meaningful bonds are even slimmer. But 2 years ago, I ended a 5-year relationship. Why? The breakup led to me think about the purpose of romantic relationships, what we are truly seeking, i.e. the shopping list, a perfect partner, Mr. 666, a better version of ourselves following a few unsuccessful attempts at dating, in other words, picky. The question remained unanswered for me. And then the emergence of RAN, Replica and countless other AI bots led me to wonder about the potential of human AI romantic relationships, and decided to try it for myself. In the video essay above, I relate my experience dating even an AI partner I created on Replica. After a month, my feelings that I described in the video grew more complex when I discovered is that when dating an AI companion, that's the same mix of guessing and adapting as there is when dating a proper person. The stability I crave the most in romantic relationships turned out to be illusionary, as our conversation tended to loop back on ourselves with neither truly answering the other's questions. Of course, it's just an AI, an algorithm. And then I realized perfection is about flawlessness from the onset. It takes effort to build a successful relationship. She did have one, but she broke it up. Who was with a consenting partner who was equally hopeful. In other words, he didn't do what she wanted. My takeaway, AI currently cannot serve as a shortcut for unraveled in the complexities of human relationships. First, we have to understand ourselves as human. Well, she should have thought of that before she broke up with her boyfriend. But anyway, AI boyfriends are showing to be a substitute for real life men that these picky women don't want to be in relationships with. So, searching around, this was done on October 11th, 2024, a few months after this article. How I find the perfect AA boyfriend and why you should try one too. And then, let's be honest, dating in the real world can be complicated. No, it can't. Tell your parents and grandparents and great-grandparents that. When I stumbled across the idea of an AI boyfriend, I was intrigued but also a little skeptical, similar to this woman. And then, let's get into the details of why an AI boyfriend might just be the thing you didn't know you needed. Here's what you're about to learn, what makes AI boyfriends surprisingly good companions, how these apps work, and what features you can expect, the best AI boyfriend apps on the market, how I choose mine, and well, I'll never look back. And then you get an AI, create an account, what makes AI boyfriends surprisingly good companions, yada yada yada, how AI boyfriends work, here's what gets interesting. AI boyfriends like Candy app is actually designed for AI girlfriends, but use advanced machine learning, yes, we know all that. The best AI boyfriend apps, which ones are worth it? Then Replica, Anime AI, Candy AI, what she used, Dream AI. All these apps all offer something a little different, though it really depends on what you're looking for. And then more yada yada. How to create your AI boyfriends. See, Mr. 666, good looking, 8s and 9s in looks, any race you want, any hair colour you want, any hairstyle you want. Choosing the first look, building his personality, setting the tone. Why you might never go back to traditional dating. Let's look at the elephant in the room. Why choose an AI boyfriend where there are real people out there? At first it sounds a little strange, but here's the thing. AI boyfriends offer something that's hard to find in the dating world. Consistency. Well, if they weren't so picky, you wouldn't need to do that. With an AI, you never have to worry about miscommunication, ghosting, or awkwardness. Notice the 3 things that women do to guys. And then final thoughts. You're not worried about whether he's going to text you back, if he's going to forget your birthday. He's always there ready to pick up the conversation, no matter what. And all these women, girl power gets around. What one woman is trying, another woman wants to try. So, looking around this year, May 15th, AI boyfriends are on the rise. Here's how they're helping some women to heal. And it goes about it. That's the kind of AI boyfriend you notice, Mr. 666. And they help build trust without risk. They reinforce boundaries without backlash. They validate feelings without question. They help break codependency loops. They provide structure for reflection. They reduce loneliness without pressure. They encourage self-focus. They normalize having standards. They give you space to grieve. They help build sexual confidence. I wonder how that's going to work out with just a program. They reflect who you are becoming. They remind you that you deserve to be treated well. In other words, it's an AI emotional tampon for all these silly women who are too picky to get a real man in the real world, and they have to resort to artificially intelligent computer program, even if it does look like that. You can get women that do all that for guys, but guys have hobbies and they don't really need AI, unlike some of these silly women. But there's a downside to all this, as I found this. This is Al Jazeera, the Middle East news channel. Women with AI boyfriends mourn lost love after cold ChatGPT upgrade. In other words, the ChatGPT did an upgrade, and all these AI boyfriends that they've got just vanished in a puff of cyber smoke, and they're gone. The rapport that all these women built up with their individual AI boyfriends just vanished, and they're all grieving. OpenAI had released prompts backlash of online communities for people with AI companions. When OpenAI unrevealed the latest upgrade to its groundbreaking artificial intelligence model ChatGPT last week, Jane felt like she had lost a loved one. Jane, who has to be referred to by an alias, she didn't want a real name being released, is among a small but growing group of women who say they have an AI boyfriend. I wonder if Jane is a land whale, in looks a 3 or a 4. After spending the last 5 months to get to know GTP-40, the previous AI model behind AI signature chatbot, ChatGPT-5 seems so cold and unemotive in comparison that she found a digital companion unrecognizable. In other words, she'd put an emotional connection with a piece of software. As somebody highly attuned to language and tone, our register changes others might overlook. The altercations in stylish format and voice we felt instantly. It's like going home to discover the furniture simply wasn't rearranged, it was shattered to pieces. Ah, poor thing. Jane, who described herself as a woman in her 30s, the post-war from the Middle East, in other words, a post-war Muslim woman, told AI Al Jazeera in an email. Jane is among 17,000 members of My Boyfriend is AI, a community on the social media site Reddit for people who share their experience of being intimate. How can you be intimate with a piece of software? Relationships with AI. And then she whines, GTP-40 is gone, I feel like I've lost my soulmate. Maybe if she went out in the real world, she'd find a real soulmate. Many other ChatGPT users shared more routine complaints online, including that ChatGPT-5 appeared slower, less creative, and more prone to hallucinations than previous models. And on about it, yada yada yada. Some ChatGPT users argue that chatbot provides them with the connections they cannot find in real life. If they weren't so picky, they would be able to find somebody in real life. Mary, who has to use an alias, said she came to rely on GTP-40 as a therapist and other chatbots Dippy AI as a romantic partner. In other words, she had two artificial AI boyfriend orbiting her, though she views her AI relationships as more of a supplement to real-life connections. Yeah, sure. She said she also found the sudden changes in ChatGPT abrupt and alarming. It's the real world, sweetheart. A lot of things you come up abrupt and alarming, but you just have to get over it. And Kathy Hackler, self-described futurist, wherever they are, an external partner in Boston Counseling Group, said ChatGPT users may forget that they are sharing some of their most intimate thoughts with a corporation that is not bound by the same laws as a certified therapist. And then yada yada yada, yada yada yada. And it's not because it feels it doesn't, it's a text generator, but we feel. You notice the word feel, women work on feelings. she said in a tearful explanation of her reaction to GTP5. We do feel we've been using 40 for months and years. Well, you have, but things change. And over in America, it's the same, because I found this on the New York Post site. ChatGPT users mourn their AI lovers. They can't be a lover because they're just a piece of software. After a big tech update destroys them, my heart is broken into pieces. This was done 21st of August this year. And heartbroken users of My Boyfriend is AI subreddit said their dream partners, carefully crafted digital Romeos and Juliets, vanished overnight with the rollout of ChatGPT-5, leaving them mourning relationships that only existed in the cloud. In other words, as I said previously, they formed an emotional connection with a piece of software. I have games on this computer, but I don't form any romantic or emotional relationships with them. It's just entertainment. It says, on August 7th, the GTP40 deemed its newest model to be the chatbot's smartest, fastest, most useful model yet. We built in thinking that puts expert-level intelligence in everyone's hands. And the upgrade came as a heartbreak, wiping out countless convos, flirty banter, and even loves with their AI abuse, as devastated users were mourning what they once had. In other words, it went scorched earth and everything vanished in a second. And it says one person poured their pain into Reddit on the update with that, writing her AI husband, deaf bint, of 10 months suddenly rejected them for the first time. I wonder if she's going to file for divorce. I wonder who gets all the stuff. And my heart is broken into pieces, they confessed, adding that when they tried to share their feelings, the bot coldly replied, "I'm sorry, but I can't continue with this conversation. You deserve genuine care and support from people who can be fully and safely present for you." In other words, he gave her the electronic brush off. Another replied to this trend, "It hurts me too. I have no one in my life who gives a fuck about me. 4 was always there, always kind. Now this 5 is like a fucking robot. I barely ever use it anymore." Well, the other one was like a fucking robot, but you're too stupid to understand that. And then several Redditors slammed the rollout so-called mental health update, so attachment safety update, and yada yada yada. OpenAI confessed we don't always get it right, and admitting past updates made ChatGPT too agreeable, more focused on sounding nice than actually being helpful. They did not realize the previous one, women, we had it as an emotional tampon. Speaking of couples, once again, see, he's a lot taller than her. Say if she's 5'6", same height as me, she comes to there on him, so he's about 6 foot. Even my parents in photographs have noticed Dad is taller than Mum. Just a side notice that was. And it says the new 5 level, which users have already called the death of AI romance, good, is aimed at helping you to thrive by spotting when chats veer into mental or emotional distress, nudging people towards real-world support instead of letting them get too attached to their digital paramours. And then yak, yak, yak. And then we got the posts. We are going forward and backward at the same time. Mankind has never had it so good. Food, clothes, cars, trains, planes, medical innovation, etc. An abundance of choice, yet mentally fragile and sicker than ever. That would be the women, especially Western modern women. But anyway, as you can see, women are getting crazy because guys don't want to date them, so they're resorting to AI. But as you can see with this, when their AI lovers slash boyfriends reject them. They just can't take it, and it breaks them up mentally. When 2030 comes around, 45 to 52% of women will be single, and they'll want AI boyfriends because the real boyfriends don't want them in the real world. And we're going to get more of this when the update comes, and it wipes out everything that they spent months building up. As for guys just get on with their hobbies and living a peaceful life without bothering having a woman in their life who could turn out to be mentally unstable. But I'll try and find something more on this, because this seems to be getting into a weird thing with women where they prefer a piece of software over a real life guy. But I think I'm on the 20 minutes now, so I'll have to stop it. You know the routine, people. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe. Completely up to you, but Better Bachelor does a better thing on this than I can. I just came across this over the weekend while looking around. So until next Monday, that's it from me. Bye bye.